To order, start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Next order of business is approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion has been made by Jordan to approve the agenda and seconded by Ed. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the agenda is approved. Next order of business is approval of the minutes from September 15th meeting. I read them through again, and they looked all right with me.
Move to approve.
Okay,
Second.
okay. Ed has made the motion to approve, and Elizabeth has seconded. Although, is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The minutes from September 15th are approved. Old business from October to consider docket number BOA 10-2022, number 1. To consider the petition of Courtney and Mitchell Campbell, applicants, and Thomas and Janet Campbell, landowners who seek a variance regarding the following: to allow construction of a single-family dwelling on class 1 to 3 prime soils instead of class 4 to 8 non-prime soils within the agricultural resource conservation district pursuant to chapter 10.4.7 parentheses 6 of the Winona County zoning ordinance. Does Lou or staff have a presentation?
I do have a short presentation as usual.
Okay,
The site is located south and east of St. Charles, South County Road 6 in Saratoga Township, section 26, along County Road 113, as highlighted in the real photo there. You can kind of see the lay of the land, and predominant land use is agriculture, scattered farm dwellings. The parcel in question is a 120 acre parcel. As you can see by the aerial photo, it's almost entirely under cultivation. The blue line indicates the proposed 5 acre parcel. And the black square, as you can see, is highlighted, indicating the proposed building site in the middle of it. Stated reason for the proposal is to get closer to the land that they're farming. Petitioners are currently helping to, it's a family affair, helping to farm the land, and they're having to drive from a distance to get to the land to help with it. This would allow them to be closer and facilitate farming. This is a little bit bigger view of the area. There's a couple of contiguous parcels across the street, across 113, to make up a total of 190 acres in this location. I believe they have other acreage elsewhere in the area, but this is this 190 contiguous acres. You can also see the class, the prime soils, how they lay across the land. Most of it is class 2 and 3. As you can see, I've highlighted a few of those there. The gray lines indicate the different soil types on the property. So there's a number of different soil types, but the ones along and through the building site are class 2 and class 3. You'll also notice across the street there is a location on an adjacent parcel that is class 4. We went back and forth, got information from the petitioners about their building sites, and it really came down to the ease of access. It's a little flatter over on that side, and would it's just an easier, more desirable building site. This is the site plan that they submitted showing the house attached garage driveway access coming from County Road 113. As usual, it is a county road, so county highway department would need to approve driveway access. And if this were approved, there would be a septic application and development certificate for the construction of the home. Also, this is as good a time as any to just let you know that last month, the Planning Commission did hear a conditional use permit for a new dwelling on less than 40 acres, which was approved at that time. This is a site overview photo with the proposed parcel and building site in the field on the right, and the green field there. Looking south along 113, you can see it's really dominated by agricultural fields in that area. There is a farmstead further down to the south, neighboring farmstead you can see in the distance there. This is looking straight at the parcel with, you can see the stakes for the driveway access, and the field to the, so that would be to the west of County Road 113. There was a township acknowledgement form was filled out. Saratoga Township reviewed it and offered no comments in regards to the request. As always, Board of Adjustment needs to consider all the materials and testimony before making findings that support your decision for or against. Staff analysis and draft findings are written to support the request for granting a variance. And should you decide to approve, there are 3 conditions attached for your consideration. That's the end of my presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to field them.
Anyone have questions? Go ahead.
Jim, would you refresh my memory? Are any crops going to be on that fire district?
After, if they were to be approved and they were to build, yeah, they have stated that other than the area for the home driveway itself, they did want to, and septic system would take some yard space and probably be turf afterwards. They were planning on cultivating and still farming a good portion of that 5 acres, and want to retain as much as possible.
Were letters sent out to the neighbors?
Yeah. Do you know offhand,
Any response?
how many were sent?
Well, or was there any response at all?
There were no response. no.
Okay.
No comments.
Jordan, you had
I changed my mind.
okay.
Well, if you change your mind again, I'll be right over here.
All right.
Okay. Thank you, Lou. Alrighty, if there aren't any questions, entertain a motion to open to the public.
I make a motion.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Elizabeth has made a motion to open a meeting to the public and Jordan has seconded it. All those in favor say aye. Aye. The meeting is open to the public. Is there anyone here to present the situation to the board? State your name and address just for the record.
My name is Mitch Campbell. Currently I live on County Road 6 or 14331 County Road 6, Utica. I guess the main reason for us like just picking this area is, this is what we have is farming. I think on for like the CUP, I said that we only own like 4 acres total of like say woods or something, and I do know like across the road is considered class 4 prime soils, but it would take more land to be able to build that driveway and to build that house there than it would be to where I currently, or where we decided. And obviously ease of access at winter times and stuff like that. That with that flatter driveway is going to really help us. on the east side of that road is you got to go up a hill to get to where that class 4 land is. And also, you know, the only reason why we're parceling, say, for the 5 acres, and we just came up with that number to be able to build and have your setbacks and stuff like that. You know, it's just financing reasons, and there's no reason to take the whole 120 acres from the family, I guess, and put it in my name. It's still in the family. We're not gonna sell it off. I guess that's not ever gonna happen to us. So I guess we just picked a spot that everybody agreed on, and it works for us, and it's close to the farm or the home farm, and it uses the least amount of land possible. You know, the area we do have with some woods, I would have to build it all the way across the field, or a driveway all the way across the field just to get to that. So, I mean, it's the same amount of prime ag land used just to get to that non-prime land to be able to build a house. So I guess that's our main goal, and make it easy for us. So thank you.
Just wait a second, are there any questions?
Is your driveway gonna come in where that existing field road is, looks like now?
There is a field road, but that current field road is going to be taken out. That was a prior thing
Okay,
through Dad. That field driveway is going to the south right on Tessing's line fence. And then this one would be north of where that one currently is. So that field driveway is gonna be further south. It hasn't been moved yet.
okay.
So
How high is the hill that, where you don't want to build?
I guess I am not sure
Yeah.
exactly how high it is.
Yeah.
You have to you go into the field and then cross a current waterway.
Waterway, okay.
So I'd have to put a second culvert in there, and then it basically goes up. And you'd have to flatten off quite a bit of the hill, I think, to be able to build the house up there. I guess I'm not sure. I don't want to say a number on how high the
Right,
hill is and be wrong.
I was just curious, yeah. So it's more of just,
It's
Rounded.
it's more of a knob. It's not, there's
Yeah.
no get to the top,
Right.
and it just stays up.
so you'd have to flatten it, yeah.
Right,
Okay,
correct.
yeah. Any other questions? If not, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to address the petition before the board? 10/20/22/01. And for the third and last time, is there anyone who wishes to address this petition that's before the board? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Close the public
Okay,
hearing?
Jordan has motion. Elizabeth has seconded to close the meeting to the public. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is closed to the public and open to discussion of the Board of Adjustment members. I assume everyone has read through all the specs and questions and possibilities. Do you see?
Yeah, I think if it was me, I think it makes a lot more sense to build there than to have to make a driveway across the waterway and then you
Yeah, definitely with the
put in a culvert and
Culverts
start
are-
dealing with the erosion problems
Yeah.
and,
culverts are a pain.
yeah.
And I think just for the record, I've had the same experience about 50 some years ago. We bought a little land off the farm and 2 acres and that 2 acres doesn't sound like, or a little over 2 acres, but to take care as far as taking care of any more lawn than you have to or anything else, it's a pain. So I don't think it'd be any problem. I think they'll do as much cropland as they can because it's easier to take care of other than around the house.
I would make a motion to approve this item with the attached conditions and the findings of fact as written.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, Elizabeth Jordan has made the motion to approve this petition as presented and with the conditions. And Elizabeth has seconded it. Is there any discussion, more discussion? If there isn't any more discussion, I would take a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The petition has passed and I will read the mandatory appeal to the district court. All decisions by the Board of Adjustment in granting variances or in hearing appeals from any administrative order, requirement, decision, or determination shall be final, except that any aggrieved person or persons or any department, board of commission of the jurisdiction or of the state shall have the right to appeal within 30 days after receipt of the notice of the decision to the district court in the county in which the land is located on questions of law and fact. Any party that would like to submit an appeal to the decision just rendered at this public hearing must do so through the district court. The planning department is not responsible for filing the appeal. The next order on the agenda is, as soon as I find it, is, yep, thank you for coming and presenting,
Thank you.
and good luck with building. Yeah, that's right. The docket number BOA 10-2022-2 is considered the petition of Jeff Giroux, Septic Pros, on behalf of property owners Yanessa Budenhagen and Marcus Satori, who seek a variance regarding the following: to allow for reduced setbacks for a subsurface sewage treatment system drain field to a house from 20 feet to 5 feet, and reduce setbacks from a property line to the drain field from 10 feet to 5 feet pursuant to chapter 13.6 of the Winona County zoning ordinance standards adopted by the reference Minnesota rules. Okay, do you have a presentation?
I think so.
All right.
Oops. So you guys will be excited about this one. It's
Yes,
another
we're-
Dakota septic system.
We don't know about that.
No, we have
You've,
never had that
probably not
before.
heard this
That's unique,
discussion
yes.
before. It's very similar to the others
Yeah.
that we've been through. Lot size is 60 by 100. Pretty close to a standard city lot that you'd see like in the city of Winona. Give you an idea of the size. Location 180 Golden Rule Road, which is actually on the bluff side of I-90. Over towards the old Dakota School.
Yeah.
It's a 3-bedroom, single-family home. Current septic system consists of a dry well just east of the house. So it'd be just to the, if you're looking at the screen, just to the right of the home in the larger portion of the yard there, right in the middle of it, there's a dry well set right there. Is everybody familiar with dry wells and how they work? I don't need to go into that. If you have any questions, you can let me know. But they are considered to be failing to protect groundwater and not in compliance with the Winona County ordinance or state code. Jeff Giroux, he's been before you in the past as well, working on some of these down in Dakota. He's not able to make it today actually because of a service call. Sounds like he's got an emergency he's dealing with, but he's come up with this plan to build a pressurized bed and use an aerobic treatment system, or what's called a FAST system. There's different types or products of aerobic units, but this one's considered the FAST system. Essentially, it's an aerobic system that operates inside the tank. It has a pump that pushes water to the top, and then the water bubbles or filters down through some screens or media. And in that process, air, oxygen is introduced into the wastewater stream, and then aerobic bacteria are created, and then they eat the bacteria from the sewage quicker than you would in an anaerobic type system. So it's working faster within the tank, and then when it's discharged, the water is discharged afterwards. It's meeting it's a reduced effluent, not as strong as what would be there otherwise. Some of the manufacturers of these systems will tell you that it's cleaner than surface water. You can drink it. It's cleaner than it would be otherwise, is what I'd say. And it is still required to go through a drain field and into the soil. It can't be discharged to the surface in Minnesota. In Iowa, actually, you can discharge to the surface. but in Minnesota you can't. It still has to go into a drain field, but the drain field can be reduced in size. So that's why they help in these kind of situations, because you can get a smaller system in to a lot that's not as big. So that's what he's proposing here. But in order to do so, there's that package of setbacks to the property line and to the house that needs to be taken care of. There was a township acknowledgement form, and it went to the city of Dakota, and they indicated they have no comments. Same as before, regarding the variance process and making findings to support your decision. There are 2 conditions that we've added for your consideration if you choose to approve the petition. And that's the end of my presentation.
Okay, does anyone have questions for Lou?
No.
No questions?
Is this the first one that we've voted on that was that type of?
Good question. I don't think so. I think there was one maybe last summer. There's been a few recently. I think at least one of them was. It was probably a lot of them are what's called hoot systems. It's a different type of aerobic unit.
Okay. Yeah, I just seem to remember most of them having like a UV treatment, but
Right, and so UV is a component that can be added to these types of systems. So you'd have the aerobic unit, and then coming out the after it goes through that, there's a place in these tanks where you can add a UV light, and that would further clean the wastewater stream. It would treat it down to another level of another treatment level, so you can get a more of a reduction if you do that. But it's costs and maintenance, and if they don't have to, a lot of times they won't.
You can drink 2 glasses of it.
There you go.
Was there any comment from neighbors?
I have one.
Go ahead, Ed.
Approximately how many of these variances have been granted in Dakota thus far?
I don't have a number on tip of my tongue, but I mean, we've heard since the community decided not to move forward with their community system, their collection system, it's been steady. There's been a lot. I mean, I had to just guess 15 to 20, maybe.
Have any of them ever been denied?
No, none of them have been denied. Each site is different, even though they look that they're pretty similar in a lot of cases. But yeah, I mean, no, they haven't been denied. And a lot of times, like this one, I mean, some of them are asking for just a holding tank because that's all that they can get on. Some of them have wells that are also an issue. This one, the well isn't as much of an issue as as just trying to get treatment on the site. So, I mean, we could probably get a holding tank here without a variance, but this would represent their last chance for soil treatment. So if this doesn't work or this fails in the future, then their last option would be the holding tank. But we discourage that, and we encourage them to look at alternative methods such as this to avoid the holding tank if possible.
Tell us what the disadvantage is.
The holding tank is going to be it's going to require more maintenance, and it really puts the onus on the property owner to maintain it. So, and it also, it really gets to property values and who the property is able to really accommodate. If you have like a 2,000 gallon holding tank, it's going to make it really difficult for, it's a 3-bedroom home that could accommodate a family. A holding tank it's going to be hard for a family to live off that just because of the amount of water that you're going to be using and how often you're going to be pumping that tank. So let's say at a $200 a pop for a pump, a family of 4 or 3 or 4, you might be pumping that 2-3 times a month. Potentially. You know, it all depends on how much water you use. But you know, a lot of people aren't going to be looking at like, oh, I don't want to have to think about when my son has to take a bath, how much water I'm running for him. You know, so it becomes difficult for families to live in the community, and so for that reason and others, I mean, it's we've also seen a lot of holding tanks that people stop wanting to pay, and so what ends up happening is if they're not getting pumped, they're overflowing, and so it's an imminent threat to public health immediately. Whereas this type of a system, it does take some more maintenance, but if it's running, the property owner can use their water somewhat normally, and it gives them the opportunity to have that on the property. Whereas if it's a holding tank, it's if they stop maintaining the fast system, it's going to continue to take wastewater and you know, put it to your drain field, and that's going to give you some treatment. Whereas if you stop maintaining a holding tank, it's backing up out of the tank and onto your lawn or into your house.
So there have been holding tanks approved.
Yep, holding tanks have been approved as a last ditch
Do you put
option.
restrictions?
Yeah.
Do you put restrictions in the holding tank variances that you grant that would cover the potential for the property owner not maintaining the holding tank and letting the effluent flow out like that?
Not really. There's not a whole lot we can do other than we do require management plans, so they have to have a contract with a pumper. But it's really hard for us to track whether, you know, they keep that contract up.
Would you consider, and this is something to think about and check with the county attorney, if you have those holding tank variances come up before the board again, to put some type of condition in the variation grant, the ordinance, that automatically imposes some type of penalty on the property owner in the event they don't maintain the tank and it causes effluent to overflow. And I'm sure the creativity of the attorneys could put some teeth into that ordinance to give the property owner extra incentive to keep maintaining that, because it would be a extra financial burden if they chose not to.
Yeah, I'm sure we could look at it. There is a regulatory structure with the MPCA, and they are actually the ones that are regulatorily responsible for straight pipes or when there is an imminent threat to public health. And they have through the states, I believe there is a administrative penalty order that they can do, but I don't know that the counties are enabled to do that by the states.
I would think, and the county attorney will address this if it
We
ever
can have them
comes
look
up.
at it.
Because if you're granting a variation is happening out there in Dakota,
Mhm.
I would think you could put whatever appropriate, reasonable legal conditions available in that, because we all know that to go through the regulatory remedies, if there is a violation and effluent is overflowing, that whole procedure takes a lot of time. And in the meantime, you've got neighbors that are experiencing the overground effluent. Anyway, just something for the attorneys to think about.
Yeah, I'm sure that they'll be able to think about that. And
So just off the top of my head, everyone, Alex from the county attorney's office, in for Stephanie for the foreseeable future, actually. My understanding is we're not able to put something like liquidated damages into a variance. So if there was some type of a variance granted for one of these holding tanks and it was no longer being utilized, you'd have to look into normal zoning enforcement methods, such as going after them for a zoning ordinance violation and giving them a citation or something to that effect. However, our office can certainly look into this if that's something the board wants to know more about.
And the thought that I had was that the ordinance would contain language that would provide for notice to be given if there is a violation and effluent is overflowing. And if they don't remedy the problem within whatever amount of days you provide in the notice, that then the county would have the option, but not the obligation, to remedy the situation and lien the property or do whatever else you have to do.
Yeah.
Just to make the property owner have more of an incentive not to let that happen in the first place.
And currently, there is the availability to pursue some of those remedies under the public nuisance laws. The only thing is, in this case, since it's in the municipality of Dakota, it might actually fall to whoever the Dakota city attorney is or their authority to proceed for the public nuisance. If it was in county land, not in an incorporated municipality, we could look into enforcing nuisance laws for something like this that was a danger to public health or welfare. But certainly, we will look into it if it's something you're interested in.
Thank you.
I will
Go ahead, Lisa.
The number 2 recommendation that says the petitioners obtain the required septic permit and comply with all relevant regulations and standards of Winona County and the state of Minnesota. So that doesn't have what you're talking about. Is that correct?
That would include everything that's in our zoning ordinance and included in state statutes. If there were some other enforcement options that we had, I mean, we can certainly look into that. But yeah, that's kind of a blanket statement that would cover all of those regulations. Yeah.
But the holding tank variance has the condition that it be have a contractor and it be
Yeah,
pumped.
we
So-
require that.
So it is
for-
already there and they're agreeing to it. So
Yeah.
I'm just curious, do we have any that are holding tanks that it's a problem?
As far as the
I mean,
not pumping.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've come across that.
okay. Is
That
it
problem, yeah.
frequent or not?
Well, it's hard to say how frequent it is. We get calls, maybe once every, 2-3 years or something, I would say,
Oh, okay.
something like
Yeah,
that. It's not super frequent, but the big thing with holding tanks is that it takes, you're putting your trust into the management, the people who are living there to use it and pump it and appropriately.
It could be rented out or something too, so that,
As opposed to it just automatically working
Right.
like a normal septic
Yeah.
system or.
did you have any input from neighbors with letters sent out? I imagine?
No
Okay.
comments.
No comments, okay.
I just have a question about the septic systems in general, because the holding tank from the one that we approved before had like a sensor on it that said when it was full, right? So then the guy would just come and pump it also. The homeowner didn't necessarily have to do anything. Does that sound right?
Right.
So do any of these other systems have that too, in case like the tank, for example, we're putting in here that has a drain field, but it doesn't have that extra UV thing? Whether that's for space or not necessary, like, does this tank still have the ability to be overused in terms of like, they're just using too much water at a time? Like someone's draining the bathtub while someone's taking a shower, someone's doing dishes all at the same time. Like, can those overflow also? Or is it just a matter of like,
Yep, the system can slow down and, you do have to be careful about how much you use at once. They generally say, don't do all your laundry in one day, spread it out a little bit, depending on if it's undersized
Okay.
or not. Usually that's factored into a standard size system.
okay,
Into the gallons per day, but some are undersized, like this one may be, so that it's going to be not able to have the same capacity.
and so does this one, for example, also have a sensor if it just happens that they use too much water in one day, not on purpose, but like that would tell the septic guy like, hey, I need to go check on their system because they're using too much water? Or
It would until the
Okay.
people disconnect that or take the batteries out, But yes, I think that'll be, Jeff will probably, he usually proposes that on his
Okay.
systems.
all right.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Lou? Okay, if not, thank you, Lou, and I entertain a motion to open it to the public
Motion.
and second by Ed. Okay, Jordan has made a motion to open to the public and a second by Ed. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The meeting is open to the public. Is there anyone here who wishes to address this petition currently before the board? For the second time, is there anyone who wishes to address the petition currently before the board? It is BOA docket 10/2022, number 2. And for the third and final time, is there anyone here who wishes to address this petition currently before the board? If not, I'd entertain a motion to
Motion to close the
Okay.
public hearing.
second. Okay, Jordan has made a motion to close the public hearing and Elizabeth has seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is closed to the public and open to the board for comments, discussions. I propose that they have to have a sign there that says, if it's yellow, let it mellow, and if it's brown, flush it down. Which a lot of lake cabins and people do, so, just kidding.
But it seems like the city of Dakota is going to keep the life of this board. It's going to keep this
Yeah.
board alive
Yeah.
over the years.
Well, it's, at least last time they had a comment, I think that they approved. This time they didn't have a comment. But everyone has read through all the data, all the facts available here.
Yeah, I prefer this to a holding tank, so
Yes, that's true.
I
too.
think it's the best case scenario. So I would make a motion to approve this with the findings of fact as written and the conditions.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Elizabeth? Okay, Jordan has made the motion to approve the petition as written here with the findings of facts and the conditions. Elizabeth has seconded. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The petition passes and I will have to read as soon as I find it. The appeal to district court. All decisions by the Board of Adjustment in granting variances or in hearing appeals from any administrative order, requirement, decision, or determination shall be final, except that any aggrieved person or persons or any department, board, or commission of the jurisdiction or of the state shall have the right to appeal within 30 days after receipt of the notice of decision to the district court in the county in which the land is located on questions of law and fact. Any party that would like to submit an appeal to the decision just rendered at this public hearing must do so to the district court. The planning department is not responsible for filing the appeal. And the next order of business is adjournment.
Uh,
Go ahead.
So on the note of this last petition, I did attend a Dresbach Town Board meeting
Mhm.
and kind of discuss these
Okay,
variances with them. And I think we all agreed that it would be nice if we could, take some of these holding tank situations when there's two houses that are gonna have the same scenario and try to make that into one actual treatment unit. But it doesn't seem like they want to go through the work to identify all those citizens and coordinate that. So I guess my my thought was maybe we could send out the study that we had that was done in the past, identifying all those, and send that to the contractors that have represented people in these variances in the past. Maybe they would be willing to reach out and try to coordinate that.
Good idea.
I think it would be a lot better option than, it maybe won't work in very many scenarios, but
yeah, but if it did work some places.
yeah. And I'm not so concerned about having to do less variances, but I think just having less holding tanks in general and a more long-term solution for this
Okay.
issue would be nice.
Yeah, because as you pointed out before, the options before the board as far as issuing variances or not are extremely limited.
Yeah,
And, but the county would have a record, right, Lou, of all the holding tanks and the parcels, but it
well,
might
we
not
have-
be available or,
Yeah, we do have fairly good records for Dakota and Dresbach as far as what's there and, what the current compliance status is for each property.
is that do you think that would be the minimum amount of work that we would have to do, that the county would have to deal with, as
Yeah.
far as just distributing that information?
I mean, if we did it you're talking about a more, proactive way to, send out a mailing with information to some of those contractors and with a letter or something like that and discussing it. I don't know. It wouldn't take all that much. I mean, we try to do an annual newsletter to all of the contractors that work in the area. Just kind of talking about, current events, new things going on in the field and regulatory wise or otherwise. And so that could be something that we do along with that.
Maybe just even to mention that information's available.
Right. We do, I will say we do have a lot of contact with contractors on a regular basis. And we're talking through issues on sites like this once or twice before it gets here to you guys, or even before we issue a permit if it doesn't have to come through you. And those are things that do come up as discussion. The contractor, I don't know. I think it's hard to. Sometimes the property owners have worked it out with their neighbors, and we can certainly bring it up and have that discussion with them. But you'd be amazed as to how many times property owners aren't interested in talking to each other.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be surprised by
Not
that.
interested in working together, and especially in something like this where you'd have to have a legal contract between the two. Not willing to give up any of their own personal rights for their neighbor to allow them to do that. But addressing that some way in a newsletter or a mailing isn't a huge ask.
You had said at one other meeting that you did a study and you presented all the information, you found funding sources. And was that for both Dresbach and Dakota or just one of the towns?
So it was for both. It started with Dakota, probably in around 2009, 2010, somewhere around there. And then Dresbach they were also in a similar situation. So soon thereafter, maybe by 2012, they were working together on a joint project.
Yeah. So they'd have a mutual,
Yep.
plan.
So, they'd be using, because it'd be cheaper for, overall.
Yeah.
If they had just one treatment plant.
Right.
And then you'd have the collection system
Right.
that would be connected between
Right.
the two. But Dakota bowed out of that and
have the politics changed anything, to any extent since that last effort? So that there could be another effort put forward for the same thing and then organize it so that your funding sources gave the people who've done it independently some of their expense back.
Right. That's the hard part is that since then, we couldn't keep waiting around forever.
Right.
And we were giving a lot of people passes for a number of years, along with the Pollution Control Agency working together to, annually give people who were out of compliance a pass while the community was working on a system, on a solution. And we couldn't continue to do that forever. And when the communities, eventually we pressed the communities to make a decision, and they made the decisions that they did. At that time, it was understood that we would be moving forward with enforcement actions and letters and
Well, there's
which we did.
water infrastructure,
Mhm.
federal monies that are available or coming.
That's
with
true, that weren't there before, right? I
And,
think ours are all allocated in the county now.
They are all allocated already?
I believe so.
Oh, my God.
Um, um, but yeah, I mean, I can go back in the records and look, but we've had a good at least 5 years now of upgrades. So, I mean, probably within the first two to 3 years, we probably had 20 upgrades, at least.
So what's the population left that hasn't done anything? What's the percentage? What are the ratios?
I've got a spreadsheet for Dakota, I believe. I've got one for both, but the Dakota one's updated. And I can get you those numbers if you'd like me to bring those to the next meeting, or maybe I can just email them to you
Yeah.
as a group.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So that you know where we're at as far as compliance goes and non-compliance. There was a bunch that were, failures to protect groundwater, imminent threats to public health. And then there were another category of likely out of compliance that we didn't have records for. And then there were the in compliance folks. So I can give you those three different groups of numbers and let you know where that's at. There were grants available, I think up to 50% for the project, so millions of dollars that were approved by the state for this project, and the community still, it wasn't quite enough for them. So
Are both Dresbach and Dakota essentially townships?
Dresbach is the township. Dakota is a municipality that's at least partially, if not completely, in the township of Dresbach.
Okay. Because Dakota is a township also, right?
Dakota Township? No, I don't think we have a Dakota Township. We have 19, I think, townships in the county. I don't think we have a Dakota. I think we have a city of Dakota and we have a Dresbach Township.
That's right.
Right next door, it's New Hartford, and
Yeah, New Hartford,
north is
Pleasant Hill. And,
Richmond. So
well, one thing too is, they probably can't do much either, but also feedback from the contractors, because they're usually pretty clever bunch. I mean, smart as resourceful and things like this. And there's probably nothing that is organizing the whole wide thing, but anything they would have that
well, I can certainly
suggestions.
pass on the conversation that we've had here
Yeah.
when I'm out on site with folks and talking to people on the phone. And then reiterate it in like a newsletter or something like that is definitely doable.
Yeah, I think the biggest hurdle, I'm sure, is going to be just the homeowner, because someone's going to be doing their septic for a reason, like they're selling their house,
Yes.
and then the other person is not going to want to spend the money most likely. So it's
Yeah,
just,
and as far as the community systems go, I mean, it just gets harder and harder. The more compliance that you get, the harder it is to get that buy-in from the community. Because people have spent considerable amount of money and have been invested in those on-site systems, and they're not going to want to, then spend another additional amount to go away from that until they have to. And so that's what was nice about the opportunity that we did have, is because we had this backlog just from, not having that many years of modern septic system installations. A lot of the community was still on old, pre-regulation type systems. And so it was a good opportunity to do it. But you never know, a lot of these systems that we're approving, I mean, they might not last more than 20, 30 years. And so in another, 20 years, we might have a good portion of the city is really out of options. And when you're on a holding tank and you're pumping regularly, that's a good incentive to
Once a
look at
month.
their options.
That one of the cases we had was once a month.
Yeah.
At $200?
Yeah.
That's a bite in the budget.
Yeah, every year.
Mhm. Yep.
I don't have anything else. Okay.
Okay.
I would make a motion to adjourn.
Okay,
I second.
Jordan has made motion to adjourn and Elizabeth has seconded it. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all those opposed say nay. Meeting is officially over. Thanks to all the staff and thanks to all the board members.